Hey guys, so this week you guys are going to be reading a memoir, or an excerpt from a memoir, I should say, from Blue Nines and Red Words. And it's a really interesting story. We'll get into the author in a little bit, but first let's talk about reading memoirs. So, a memoir is a type of nonfiction autobiographical writing that tells about a significant event or events in the author's own life. So, remembering our prefixes and roots, that auto meaning self and bio meaning life and graph meaning written. So, this is a story about someone's life that they have written themselves. So, this selection is an excerpt from this man's memoir. So remember that the purpose of the memoir is to tell about important aspects of the author's life. And this author in particular has a very interesting story. So some of the characteristics, again, autobiographical, it expresses the author's perspective on his or her experiences. The central message that runs as a thread through events, developed with explanations, description, and details. It may include dialogue. If they're telling the story from their perspective, they're going to use I statements, and then they might give their encounter with someone else. Reflections on experiences and what they mean to the author. So you're going to see a lot of their reflective thinking about what has transpired in their life. So the structure usually presents events in time order and focuses mostly on a single important experience or group of experiences, not the author's entire life. So, when you read an autobiography, typically that covers the author's entire life, but a memoir is very specific, typically during a certain time period or event. So, thinking about the text elements, you're going to be looking for the author's purpose and message. So we know that an author's purpose is his or her reason for writing. Okay, and so the purpose might fall into one of these two main categories. You have your general purpose, which are these words that we're very familiar with: to entertain, inform, persuade, reflect, or narrate, describe. But the specific purpose is the direct application of a general purpose. For example, to persuade readers to join a community service project. So it's usually a memoir serves a combination of general and specific purposes, and these purposes help shape the controlling idea. We have called this a thesis statement in the past. And this is the central message about life, right? Every piece of writing that we read has some kind of message about life. It's just what we call that message changes depending on the genre. So for fiction, it's theme. But for nonfiction writing, it's called a controlling idea or a thesis statement. In argumentative writing, it's the author's claim. So you've really got to be paying attention to the genre in order to properly figure out what the message is for the piece. The details and events that the author chooses are used to support their message or idea. Okay, so this has some really good examples. Okay, so if the memoir topic here, the example is multiple general purposes supporting a controlling idea. The memoir topic is surviving a plane crash. The controlling idea would be surviving a life-threatening event can make someone appreciate the richness of life. So then the primary purpose is to reflect on that life-altering meaning of the event, whereas the secondary purpose might be to inform about how the author survived. And then again, another secondary purpose is to narrate an interesting story. So sometimes authors might layer things as they're writing, but it's important to remember that we're really focusing generally on that primary purpose, is those general terms that we give: to entertain, to inform, to persuade, or to reflect. And we can layer in those specific purposes later on. Okay, so obviously you're not going to be doing the practice because we're not in the classroom. But just to prepare you for your reading, here's the about the author. So we would always read this with the audio when we were in class together. So this is from Blue Nines and Red Words. That's the name of the memoir, and the selection that you're going to be reading is an excerpt or a piece from that memoir. So the author, Daniel Tammet, was born in 1979, and he grew up in a working class suburb of London, England. So he's not American, he is English, and he is the eldest of 9 children. Pretty crazy. In 2004, when he was 25, Tammet was diagnosed with high-functioning autistic savant syndrome, which is a form of autism. In 2005, he was the subject of a documentary film entitled Extraordinary People, The Boy with the Incredible Brain, first broadcast on British television. Tammet's 4 books, the last of which was published in 2016, have been translated into 20 languages. So as you're reading this excerpt, you're going to apply your knowledge of base words and other vocabulary strategies, because that's how we read, and that's how we are continuing to build our content knowledge as we're moving through into 9th grade. Yay, so exciting. And so you're going to be using those strategies to make sure that you know how to determine the meanings of unfamiliar words. And remember, if you don't know what that word is, you can always go to Merriam-Webster Online, which is the exact same dictionary that we use in the classroom. And you can always search your words that you're unsure of, or you're not sure what it means in this specific context, and find out the meaning there. All right, guys, so that's just a little pre-reading summary before you guys get started. I really hope that you enjoy the reading this memoir about this autistic man, Daniel Tammet.